And so we know her head is not in this space, and she hasn't, that we know of, been contacted about this. So who's another person from Naboo that could have intervened and helped in this situation?
I believe it is Ahmed Best's other personality.
Yet again?
Lisa Jaja.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Tom and Scott from Bad Kid's Dad. We are finally back, and man, Mando has been going crazy. And in this last episode, something really cool happened, and we kind of want to focus in on that. I saw it. Scott, you saw it. We all saw it, right? Saw it. So Ahmed Best makes his return. I don't want to get too far into it just yet, but the episode started off with a Grogu flashback, which I don't know. I was expecting that. Were you... Like, did you see that coming, or was it just like an awesome surprise? Like, hey, this is super cool.
I feel like in the trailer we all saw that, like that first clip of his flashback in the main trailer.
Yeah.
So I remember being stoked about it then, but honestly, I had gotten so engrossed with the beginning of this season and how it's already going that I completely forgot about that. So it did catch me off guard. I was like, oh yeah. I remember they teased this. And then I was all in.
Yeah, and of course they didn't go full Order 66. There was no Anakin, unfortunately. Not that I thought he was going to be there, but that would have been super cool. You did? You really thought that might be the case?
When I saw that scene and there was like 4 Jedi waiting, I thought maybe, hey, we're going to get that. We're going to get the full version of that little fight scene we saw in Revenge of the Sith when they were looking at the hologram.
Yes.
Hollow recording, rather.
Yeah, I don't want to say this was the next best thing, but we did get something pretty cool, which was the return of Ahmed Best, right?
Ahmed Best.
Ahmed Best as a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, as of all things that they could have done.
Yeah.
You know, Filoni and Favreau have a way of correcting things that are wrong in the Star Wars universe, right? And so no surprise that they are bringing out the redemption arc for Ahmed Best, right? And, you know, we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I just want to talk about how cool it was to see, first of all, Grogu escaping from the temple, which was obviously a mystery to us. We didn't know how that happened. And, you know, to our understanding, all the younglings had been killed, you know, at first was what the impression you got through Order 66 and everything. And so Ahmed Best, what a portrayal, what a cool way. And just, I don't know, the thing that got me right off the bat was picking up the second lightsaber. I don't know, I thought that was so rad. What did you think when you saw him for the first time on there?
Did you immediately recognize him?
I did not. I was not in that mindset. Like, that was not on my mind at all.
Something registered for me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it for a second. I'm like, who is this guy? I know who it is. And then all of a sudden I realized, and I kind of had to go back and rewatch the scene again because I got lost in trying to figure out who it was and then realizing who it was and then going off on all these other tangents, the beauty of some mild ADHD. So I was taken aback, but then I got excited afterwards. Like, man, this guy took a lot of heat for being Jar Jar when all he did was do what George Lucas told him to do. Like, he did nothing wrong, and people were horrible to him as a result. And I think it's cool. Like, and you've seen the redemption or comeback of Hayden, and he also got a lot of hate at the time too.
100%.
So seeing these characters kind of be redeemed, and like to show fans that, hey, under good writing, under good direction, we're actually not bad actors, or like all the shit that people said about us. So it was cool to. I was happy and relieved. Like, wow, they gave this guy a shot to actually play the thing that he wanted to play at the very beginning, but instead got cast a Jar Jar.
No, it was a perfect cameo. Well, I mean, anytime you go and you hear interviews from big actors, whether it's like Samuel L. Jackson or anyone, when they get approached to play a Jedi, they sound like kids talking about it. They're like, This is the coolest thing ever. So for him not just to come back, but to come back as a Jedi, and not just any Jedi, the Jedi who helped Grogu escape. Yeah. You know, which we don't know the full story of what's going to happen with Grogu yet, but obviously he's a huge part of the Star Wars universe now. Like, that's going to be a part of the lore forever, and like a big part. And there's going to even be, now they're like, okay, what is this guy's backstory? Where did he come from? What is his roots with the Jedi Order? You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole new avenue, whether it's just through fan fiction, which is probably okay.
You do realize his character was actually the host of like this kids game show on Disney Plus like a couple of years ago. It was like Jedi Padawans or something, and it was like, you remember the old Nickelodeon show where you had to, it was like kids going through obstacles and like
with the slime and stuff. I'm forgetting. Yeah, Double Dare or something. Is that the one?
It might have been that. Yeah,
there was a couple. There was more than one. So,
but anyway, it was like that kids obstacle course, but with a Jedi theme. And he was
that's funny.
Him and his droid were kind of the hosts,
so he used the name from the
Keller and
same
Beck
name. Keller and Beck,
guy. And he was like more of a I guess a scholar, researcher, and
which makes sense why he's in the temple, and you know what I mean.
But clearly they're gonna build probably add to that backstory. So I think
it'd be cool if he gets like a comic or something like that. You know, that would be
I'm excited to see his character. Really, I am. Started off cool, and I think it was a bold move for Filoni and Favreau to
100%
not, number one, pick him, but then two, like, we've all been speculating who saved Grogu. Is it this person? Why should it be this person? All that, and then out of the blue, we're just,
who is the temple librarian? I guess that's a one who we people always say.
Jocasta Nu.
Yeah, Jocasta Nu.
Quinlan Voss, Barasafi. Like, it kept going on and on. But I think taking it this route is a good way to subvert expectations and also introduce
it was in a good way. Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, 100%. So I was totally cool with how they handled it. I thought the scene, anytime you see more Jedi in action fighting,
and you don't see the two lightsabers very often, so that's cool to see.
No, not at all. And you get to see the clones, coming in, executing Order 66. So there was a lot of stuff going on that was really cool.
You know what I like about the Mandoverse, and I think we're starting to see it more, is I love the way the lightsabers are portrayed. They have a more realistic meat to them. The way that they actually in production use those glowing sticks, like essentially the great saber replicas that they do. Like they look like that on set, and they're just enhanced even more. So they have a more realistic feel. I like that it's not as flashy, like it has a more raw feel to it. So if you notice, I'm bringing that up because when he was fighting the clone troopers, like, he wasn't super flashy. It was more...
his saber movements were very deliberate, if that's what you're trying to say.
That's a great word.
Yes, 100%. I did notice that. You're right. Like, so he's swinging both to deflect, and it's almost like he's purposely moving the saber into the position to deflect each shot, and it's not out of control or wild to flash across the screen to make it for the effect. It's very realistic, if that's the word that you were trying to use, maybe.
Yeah, like you can tell there's a more raw feel to it than like, just let's make this as showmany as possible.
Yes, but it was cool. I mean, it was perfect. It was a great touch. It didn't, it wasn't as cinematic as like the movies. Maybe that's what we're going for. But in the setting of the TV show, I thought it worked perfect. Yeah, I didn't have any issues with how they did that scene, or anything like that.
And what's awesome is we've been seeing so much of Coruscant. Like, we've never seen this.
That is true. Even much before. From Bad Batch to Mando, you know what I mean? So that isn't, and they referenced the same location in this one, right? In the speeder chase. They referenced the area with the mountaintop where it showed from one of the earlier episodes.
Maybe.
I'm almost 100% sure.
Oh yeah, of the like meteorite or whatever.
I thought it was like the tallest mountain on Coruscant or something.
Right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
You're right.
But yes, that same is cool how they're connecting things together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, Ahmed Best, they did him justice. Now, if only they could go back in time and reprise young Annie. What's the guy's name to give
Jake
him
Lloyd.
To give him a redemption arc? But
I would not be
unfortunately
shocked in the slightest if he was. I think that guy gave up acting though, like a hard pass. But who knows? Maybe this could be a cathartic experience for him.
Yeah, or maybe the kid that never got to play young Annie, who there's like something on the special features on the DVDs about another kid who is like
that.
Is like in one of the like meme commercials or something from back in the day.
I do remember that.
Filoni and Favreau are gonna fix everything. It's
wow.
And a quick shout, I was telling you, I saw that Carl Weathers actually directed this episode, which phenomenal. Like it was so good.
Truly.
You know? Yeah. So that was very cool to see. But it did show on the writing credits that it was Favreau and Filoni. So Filoni obviously wanted to have a hand, you know, in how this went. I think his fingerprints were all over it.
If you remember, Favreau played who was it? Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars. Like that that sect of Death Watch. Mm-hmm. And he was the main character during that arc. So I think he developed a bit of a passion for the Mandalorians. So I think he's working closely with it just because that's how he was first introduced to this universe.
And of course he made an appearance in some of the recent episodes as one of the Mando.
Yep.
In the covert when Mando and Bo-Katan come back. But before we get too off track,
the big guy, I'll say real quick, so we're talking about the big Mando Paz Vizsla, whose kid they took. Yep. That's his descendant. Of his clan or whatever. Of
course. The last thing I want to bring up, which I know you were all over this, so so Kelleran Beck obviously delivers, or he gets to the platform with Grogu, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of ship and soldiers do we see waiting there when they get there?
A Naboo cruiser, just like Padme's.
Correct. And we know it's obviously not Padme's, right? Because while all this is going on, you know,
that ship's on Mustafar.
Or it will be very soon. Obi-Wan's talking to her maybe as we speak, you know, and she's he's sneaking onto her cruiser, you know, to go meet Anakin on Mustafar soon after he's going to sack the temple. And so we know her head is not in this space, and she hasn't, that we know of, been contacted about this. So who's another person from Naboo that could have intervened and helped in this situation?
I believe it is Ahmed Best's other personality.
Yet again?
Lisa Jaja.
So not only is Filoni making right what happened to Ahmed Best, the person, the actor, but also the character known as Jar Jar Binks,
will he get his redemption?
Who has lived in infamy since, you know, the prequels. Yeah. There's no way around it. People no one that I know is a fan. People aren't fans. You know, maybe there's a few people who think he's misunderstood.
Do you?
No, I don't hate him. I just don't think he was just a convenient plot device kind of a thing. It felt like there was, unless there was going to be an arc like this, I mean, that's projecting way out in the future. That's like really playing the long game.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of an annoying character. I don't know, unless you're into that physical comedy that, you know, he kind of took the place of the comedic relief to an extent that I think maybe droids usually fill that role, you know, a lot of times.
The movie would have been completely I guess it wouldn't now. I mean, especially like the first movie, episode 1. Let's just say it probably would have been better without him. Like, he wasn't needed that much. As a brief character, fine. But I don't think his presence was necessary. But I mean,
well, regardless of our personal feelings, the overwhelming majority of people were not fans of Jar Jar, to say the least. And so, and obviously Jar Jar was the one who allowed Palpatine to that's power.
That's what got it going for me, the speculation, because we all hate Jar Jar, haha, so to speak, right?
In quotations, yes.
Yeah, we all hate Jar Jar, but he did fill a pivotal role in Palpatine's ascension.
Of course,
he was coerced to make that decision.
Yes,
to give him emergency powers. So he's arguably one of the worst. Not by virtue on his own, but he was coerced to make one of the worst decisions possible.
Unless you believe in Darth Jar Jar.
Unless he's playing the long game.
Yes, unless it was all premeditated by Jar Jar from the moment he met Qui-Gon.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Things have happened. Okay.
So, but give it up to Filoni again. If it is Jar Jar, which I think it's safe to assume it was. Why would you introduce a new character?
All right, so look,
from Naboo. You know what I mean?
So Star Wars is about redemption, selflessness, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And growth as a character. And I think Jar Jar was super annoying. And I think seeing him come to terms with that decision that he made would be a cool out of left field plot device. Like, it would just be to see a broken Jar Jar, a regretful one that is no longer that silly but has a glimmer of that laughter still, but is more of like a darker version. I think that'd be pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, obviously, like, hey, it's time to right my wrongs. Kind of a self-awareness or self-realization. You know, I played a part in this, so now it's my time to do what I can, even if it's small. So kudos to Filoni. I think it was a nice touch. I think everyone, when they saw it, assumed, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know, maybe not everybody, but it was a very cool Easter egg that I think caught most people's attention. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I thought it was a cool touch. I thought it was worth a video just to shout, to kind of shout it out and talk about how cool it was. And revisit some of the stuff from when we were kids.
And I think that these next few episodes are probably going to be flashback episodes, if not the entirety.
Okay,
but a good portion of it being told throughout the next few.
Okay, and I'd have to go back and see how many we have left. I'm not sure.
This was 30 some years before where Mando's taking place right now.
Correct.
So I have a feeling there's a lot more story to tell there. And you remember how in The Mandalorian, when Ahsoka met him, she said at some point his memory goes blank, as if somebody erased it. Maybe he was a scholar. He somehow erased her memory. Or Grogu's memory, rather.
Well, when he was having the flashback, it did almost seem like a remembrance. Like, hey, like he didn't remember this until like something with the armor triggered.
Well, I mean, that's what memory. That's what a flashback is. Like,
true, but there's there's a such thing as like a conscious flashback where you're like just remembering an old time,
right?
Or one that you've kind of suppressed or forgotten, maybe.
Yeah, you're talking like more of a PTSD type episode.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Because it's almost like the hammering of the armor. Like you could see it triggering something.
Triggering the clones slamming on the door to break
slamming through the door. Correct. So if we get more stuff like that, that would be super cool. Yeah. I gotta say, I'm excited. Hopefully, in a video coming up soon to talk about what is going on with Mando and Bo-Katan and some of that. I think Bo-Katan is slowly becoming the most interesting character.
Which is great.
In this series right now, and that's what I want. I'm like, that is all I want to know is what happens with her right now. And so hopefully in a video coming up, we'll get to dive into that. But man, thank you guys for joining us. We just wanted to dive in and kind of, you know, focus in on this. We were just super hyped when we saw My Best and when we saw the redemption arc, the things that Filoni and Favreau are doing behind the scenes, just super cool stuff. So, and if you like these style of videos, we're just going to be doing some speculation stuff, putting out some shorter videos, and just, you know, really talking about Mando and Bad Batch for the next coming weeks. We're just really hype on these series, and they've been a lot of fun. So we want to share that with you guys. So if you like it, give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.